What's up everybody, my name is Andrew and you're watching the top 10 tips for visiting Yosemite National Park. Now as usual, this is going to be a long video, so if you don't have the time or patience, feel free to check out my abridged video in the description below. I've also included our entire itinerary, starting from the Pacific Coast Highway to the Redwoods National Park to Yosemite National Park. Now I'm well aware that Yosemite National Park is not on the Pacific Coast, but I'll explain to you later in the video why we decided to take this little detour. Now if you do have the time and you want to watch the rest of the video, sit back, relax, crack open a beer, and enjoy the ride. Number 10. Plan ahead. Now pretty much every national park is going to require a park entrance fee. I think it's about $35 per park. But Yosemite, like other national parks, may require you to actually purchase fees ahead of time online depending on when you visit. If you're visiting during the most populated times, May to September, you're definitely going to have to do this. If you're visiting from November till April, you most likely do not have to do this. I recommend going on recreation.gov and the National Park Service website to check it out. The cost of each entry pass is about $35 and it's good for one vehicle and 3 consecutive days. This price includes a $2 non-refundable fee, but if you have an annual pass or a lifetime pass, you can get the rest of the $33 back. They sell about 650 passes for each day, and if they're sold out, you still have a chance to buy passes for that day, but you have to look a week ahead of time. So you can see how if you're planning last second, this might not be a good idea. In general, if you're planning on going to Yosemite, look far in advance and you should not have an issue with this. Number 9, days to spend. The reason why we included Yosemite National Park as part of our Pacific Coast Highway trip is because you really can't spend more than 3 to 4 days in Yosemite National Park. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. So as a result, we had leftover days on our vacation. We figured we might as well check out the rest of the Pacific Coast Highway and include Yosemite as part of our vacation. Yosemite is beautiful, it's gorgeous, don't get me wrong. It's one of the best national parks in the entire country. But really, it's not surrounded by many fun cities. There's Fresno to the south, there's Sacramento and Stockton to the north and northwest, there's Lake Tahoe to the north. If you really want to go far west, you can hit San Francisco. But those are all within 2 to 4 hours driving distance. You can't really go back and forth between the two. We spent a total of 2.5 days in Yosemite, 2 full days of hiking. You know, we did some pretty intense hiking, but we woke up at the crack of dawn and pretty much by afternoon, early evening time we were done. So that left us a little bit more of time to check out the national park. If you're an avid hiker, you're backpacking, or you're camping, then I probably would disregard this because you'll be doing different adventures that will probably require a longer time to stay there. Number 8, visit during the summer or fall. Now, no matter where you go, you're always going to have pros and cons for what time of year you want to visit. Now, the cons of visiting during summer and fall are that things are very expensive. This is the time of year where everyone wants to visit Yosemite because you have the best weather. There's not as much snow on the hiking trails. However, with that comes more people. So it's harder to get into the national park because number 1, you have to book tickets ahead of time, like I said earlier. The hotels are more expensive, and the parking will probably be harder to find when you're on the trails. But the pro, in my opinion, highly outweighs the con. Now during the summertime, 2 big roads will open up, the Glacier Point Road and the Tioga Road, and this allows access to so many more parts of the national park. Don't get me wrong, we still had a great time checking out the parts that we were limited to in April, but we missed out on 2 big hikes that we really wanted to do. Sentinel Hike as well as the Glacier Point Hike. They're known for their amazing views once you get to the top, but we're definitely going to go back during the summer and fall time to check out those 2 hikes because we'll be able to drive to Glacier Point Road. Number 7, lodging. As I mentioned previously, there aren't many cities that surround Yosemite, so as a result, your lodging options are pretty limited. We stayed at a place called Rush Creek Lodge, which was a new hotel built maybe less than a year ago, and we absolutely loved it. It was within minutes to the west entrance of Yosemite. That being said, it was still around a 30-minute drive to get into the actual main part of Yosemite. This hotel had everything that we wanted. There was a pool, 2 hot tubs, an open bar, a full bar, sorry, not open bar, I wish it was an open bar, a restaurant, bocce ball, cornhole, and a weird zip line thing that I enjoyed doing stupid things on. Most importantly, it was very affordable. Now there are some other options that we found while we were doing some research, and one of them is a very famous hotel called the Ahwahnee Hotel. It's about $500 to $550 a night for a standard room. If you don't want to spend as much money and you're okay staying in somewhere not as nice, then you'll have the Yosemite Valley Lodge, and that's your typical national park lodge. You know, subpar rooms, not many amenities. So if you want to stay in the national park, you don't want to spend too much money, stay at Yosemite Valley Lodge. If you're okay and you're willing to spending a lot of money, stay at Ahwahnee Hotel. If you want to save money, still stay at a very nice hotel and you don't mind a 30-minute drive in the morning, Rush Creek Lodge is your best bet. And on our last night, we drove about 70 to 80 minutes south of Yosemite to a small city called Oakhurst, where we spent our final night at a micro cabin. Well, I call it small, but this is probably the only city you're going to find within the vicinity of Yosemite that has gas stations, grocery stores, as well as restaurants and bars. If you're interested in doing this, I've included the link of the micro cabin from the Airbnb below. Number 6, restaurants and breweries. In terms of food, your options are pretty much to eat at the hotel you're staying at or inside the national park. Luckily for us, Rush Creek Lodge had a restaurant that was very good, one that you can make reservations at, so we had a nice dinner there. If you're staying in the national park, you can always go to the Ahwahnee Hotel's restaurant. I think their menu is a little bit smaller compared to Rush Creek Lodge, and it's a little bit more expensive, but I've still heard very good things about it. Now, if you don't want to spend a lot of money inside the Ahwahnee Hotel, surprisingly, you actually still have a lot of options. Around the Yosemite Valley Lodge area, you have anywhere from 4 to 6 restaurants that sell all different types of foods. Now I say restaurants loosely, they're more of like to-go places that you pick up and you take back to your hotel. But still, you can't really argue with that variety of options in a national park. If you don't want to do any of that, there is a village store that sells pretty much anything that you would find at a grocery store. Whether it's cereal, ramen, sandwich meat, bread, TV dinners, beer, whatever you want at a grocery store, you can get there at that village store. So for my wife and I, we bought sandwich meat and bread, and for 2 of our meals during the day, we just pulled over on the side of the road and had a picnic and had sandwiches. And how can we talk about restaurants and food without talking about beer and breweries? There were 2 breweries that were located, one on the west entrance and one on the south entrance of the national park. The first brewery is on the west entrance of Yosemite, and it's called Around the Horn Brewing Company. Our favorite beers there was a juicy IPA called I'm Fine, Everything is Fine, as well as a wheat beer called AnJrue Hates Hef. They also had a mini menu that included some light appetizers, salads, and sandwiches if you're interested in eating food. The next brewery was about 70 to 80 minutes south in that city of Oakhurst that we spent our final night at, and it's called Southgate Brewing Company. My favorite beer there was the Honey Badger Wheat. They had a more comprehensive menu, pretty much your typical bar brewery menu, and for some reason their burgers and fries really hit the spot. So if you're craving burgers, fries, and beer, and you're willing to drive that far, definitely check out Southgate Brewing Company. Super interesting fact, I think Yosemite is the only national park to have an actual Starbucks inside of it. So if you're really big on Starbucks like my wife is and you can't survive without it, Yosemite actually has a Starbucks within the national park.
Here's your reminder. Water precedes flowers.
Alexa, stop. Halfway point. You know what that means. Time for another drink. Number 5, favorite hikes. One of my favorite trails of all time quickly became Vernal Falls at Yosemite. It's about a 4-mile round trip hike that's moderate to maybe moderate hard. I think the reason why it's moderate is because the first quarter to 1 mile is pretty much all uphill. Once you end that climb at the beginning, you'll start seeing stairs, about 20 stories of stairs. And as you're walking up the whole time, Vernal Falls is to your left. It was such a gorgeous view, but you imagine you get soaked the whole time. So bring either a change of clothes, a waterproof jacket, or something to protect your belongings as well. Very important to note though that once you get to the top, that's just Vernal Falls. You can go another 1.5 miles to get to Nevada Falls, which I heard is an even better view. It's actually kind of hard because there aren't a lot of good trail markings, and that was one of the things that we didn't like about Yosemite. But keep going, try to find your way up, and you can have an even better view of Nevada Falls. The second day we did a hike called the Mirror Lake via Valley Loop Trail, and I have very mixed feelings about this because we anticipated to only go and check out Mirror Lake, which is only about a 1 mile hike, but ended up doing the entire loop, which is about 6.1 miles. Once we got to Mirror Lake, we thought it was really cool, but then we didn't know if the trail ended there, or if we should keep following it around, because Yosemite trails are so poorly marked, it didn't tell us how much further we had to go. So we kept following this valley loop and we walked for a long time. And like I said, it was pretty much flat ground for the most part, maybe some puddles here and there, so make sure you're wearing waterproof shoes. But you get to a point where you realize, am I actually walking the right way? If you start thinking that, don't worry, you probably are. You're gonna hit a bridge across this large, gorgeous river. And once you're at that bridge, you're making your way back, and you're gonna head back towards Mirror Lake. Make sure you look at the directions fully, because there is a shuttle drop-off point where you can just check out Mirror Lake. You don't have to do the entire Valley Loop Trail like we did. Now, if you're not a big hiker, there are some quick and easy ones that you can do that still have very gorgeous views. Lower Yosemite Falls is one. I think it's maybe a half a mile walk, nothing uphill, nothing downhill, and you just get to an area where you can check out Yosemite, the lower Yosemite Falls. Now, unfortunately, Glacier Point Road was closed when we visited in mid-April, so we weren't able to visit the trails that were very popular, ones like the Glacier Point Trail and the Sentinel Dome Trail. We're definitely gonna go back during the summer and check out these two hikes. So if you do go during that time, these are must-dos. They're very quick and very easy hikes. Number 4, early bird gets the worm. If you watched my previous Grand Teton and Yellowstone video, you'll know that I'm gonna stress this for every national park. Wake up early, get to the national park early. The early bird truly does get the worm. Especially for Yosemite, there's a lot of construction going on, at least when I was there back in April of 2021. And as a result, they would have to stop traffic into Yosemite every 10 to 15 minutes. And every stop that they made was at least 15 to 20 minutes, because the construction workers would have to jump back on the road, do their construction, clear everything off, and then let a certain amount of cars go by. You can imagine if you're stuck at the very end, especially during summertime, this wait can take up to an hour or even more. So if you get there early, those construction workers aren't there. I think they get there at around 8 a.m. In addition to getting into the national park early and not having to wait, you can check out gorgeous sunrises. I will talk about that in a little bit, about the best spots to do that. But it's so nice to be able to get there and claim your spot and set up your GoPro, your camera, or whatever you want, or just sit there and enjoy the view. After that, you still have time to grab breakfast, grab a coffee, go to the parking lot of whatever hike you want to go to, and you'd still beat the entire crowd there. From our experience, the crowd in Yosemite started to become at full capacity around anywhere from 10 a.m. to noon. By the time you're coming back from your hike, you'll notice the parking spots are either closed or completely full. Our days pretty much went from 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. and we were pretty much done by then. There were still people coming into the national park at that time, and we were leaving. It was really awesome because we would get back to our hotel around 4 p.m., have time to just relax, sit in the hot tub, enjoy a cocktail, enjoy a beer, and then have dinner. All knowing that we got to see the national park, see an amazing sunrise, check out at least a couple of hikes, and then not have to wait in line and battle the crowds. Number 3, types of wildlife. The most common mammal you're going to see is the mule deer. They normally travel in groups of 4 to 5, and you can find them along the side of the road. So while you're driving, number 1, drive slowly. Number 2, keep your eye out for mule deers. Next is the animal that everyone loves and talks about, and I talked about constantly in my Grand Teton and Yellowstone video, the bear. There are about 500 black bears in Yosemite, and they're pretty much dispersed all throughout the national park. Sadly enough, in the past 10 years, there's been an average of 20 bears a year that get hit by vehicles. So when you see signs that say slow down, watch for bears, those signs truly mean it. There have been 0 reported bear attacks and 0 reported bear deaths since Yosemite's been around, which is pretty crazy, but you don't want to be that first statistic. Surprisingly enough, there aren't any grizzly bears in California. I think the last grizzly bear was killed back in 1920. So as a result, they don't actually allow you to carry bear spray. Black bears are a lot more docile and not aggressive compared to grizzly bears, but that does not mean you should walk up to a black bear and try to pet it or take a picture of it. Lastly, other animals that are a little bit harder to see would be fox, sheep, or mountain lions. To be honest, we didn't spend a lot of time looking for these animals, but a lot of them are nocturnal and really like to avoid crowds of people, so they're very, very rare to find. Number 2, sunrise and sunset spots. tunnel view is one of the most iconic and famous views in all of Yosemite National Park. I'm sure you've seen pictures that people have taken from this area. This was a spot that my wife and I woke up at to get there, and I was the first one there. I set up my little GoPro and I was able to capture a gorgeous sunrise. Little did I know that there was actually a trail across from the parking lot of Tunnel View that led up to an even prettier view. It was called Inspirational Point Trail. This trail is about 1 mile to 1.5 miles long, and it's very, very steep. I would say maybe moderate in difficulty, and the view at the top was amazing. Now, we actually didn't make it to the very, very top because from everything that I read, the halfway point, about 1/2 mile to 1/4 mile, you have an even better view of a clearing on your left side. As you're going up the steep hill, you'll see an area where the brushes are just kind of clear out and you can see an amazing view of the sunrise. Lastly, you cannot leave the national park without stopping at Valley View. The main part of Yosemite is pretty much a big circle, a big loop. And on your way out, when you start seeing exit signs for Yosemite on your right, look to your left because Valley View is right on your left. You'll see a clearing, you'll see a mini parking lot, and you'll see a river. Pull over, set up your camera, take a couple of selfies, or just sit down, have a beer, and soak in that view. And the number one tip for visiting Yosemite National Park, enjoy it. You knew my number one tip was going to be some sort of generic thing again, but it's so true. You're in one of the most beautiful national parks in the world. I say that about every national park, but really, Yosemite is one of the most beautiful national parks in the world. So just soak it all in and just enjoy it. Be humbled by the beautiful nature that you're surrounded by. Now, there are a couple of small things here and there that you can do besides going on hikes and checking out beautiful scenery. If you want to just sit and chill, I'll give you a couple of tips on places that you can just relax at. Our favorite place to go was the grass fields right below El Capitan. We would pull up, lay down on the grass, look up with our binoculars, and watch these climbers free climb this humongous rock. Another place that you can go to is called Artist Point, and it's a short little walk to get to this area of a beautiful view of Lower Yosemite Falls. And there are actually painters there who are painting for the entire day, so it'd be really cool just to watch them and see what they're painting. Another thing I wish that we would have done if we had more time would be to rent bikes. Yosemite, at least the main Yosemite area, is actually small enough where you can rent bikes and actually bike around the entire area of Yosemite in one day and check it out. So if you don't want to walk and you don't really want to drive, you want to be outdoors, I highly recommend renting bikes and just biking around all of Yosemite in a day. Lastly, have a beer in the Sentinel Meadows. This is the best place to have a 360-degree panoramic view of Yosemite. Lay out on the grass, pack sandwiches, bring a beer, bring a lawn chair, bring some towels, lay down, and just enjoy the view. So there you have it. Those are the top 10 tips for visiting Yosemite National Park. I will be posting another couple of videos on the Redwoods National Park as well as the Pacific Coast Highway trip that we took. In addition to all that, Christine and I are actually going to Alaska in June. So if you want to hear about all these awesome vacations, please subscribe below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as usual, stay safe, stay kind, and if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated, and in the meantime, wear a damn mask. There were two main breweries that are around. The first one's on the west entrance of the first brewery is on the west entrance of and the next brewery was Brewing. Brewery. Around the Horn Brewery. Same beer. Mirror Lake Trail via the Valley Trail Loop, called the Mirror Lake via Valley Loop Trail, the Mirror Lake via the Valley Lake Trail, a trail called Mirror Lake. We stayed at a place, especially for Yellowstone, especially for Yosemite.